$60 million. That's all it took for DC Studios to prove that true horror doesn't need lasers falling from the sky, collapsing multiverses, or bloated $200 million budgets. Sometimes the biggest nightmare a studio can create is hidden in human vanity and the melting flesh of a Hollywood idol who has lost his grip. The first official teaser for Clayface broke the internet, not because of obvious Easter eggs, but because it delivered something the superhero subgenre had forgotten: real fear. But if you think this is just a revenge story against the Gotham mob, you haven't been paying attention to the details. Today, we're going to do what no one else is doing. We're going beyond the obvious to prove that Clayface is actually a brutal critique of celebrity culture and the key piece that explains what James Gunn really meant when he named the first chapter of the DCU Gods and Monsters. To understand Matt Hagen in the exact moment this trailer is presenting, we need to stop looking at him as a supervillain and start looking at him as a man addicted to his own image. The brilliant catch of this movie is shifting the focus away from the accidental mutation and putting the blame on Hollywood vanity. This project drinks straight from the source of recent works like The Substance, where the pursuit of perfection spawns grotesque monsters. But it also really reminds me of the visual angst of movies like The Mummy, or even the classic The Phantom of the Opera. Hagen isn't just a passive victim. He's the heartthrob who refuses to be forgotten, the magazine cover face who collapses when he loses his only bargaining chip with the world. And here's a point that really caught my attention: the soundtrack. The trailer doesn't need expository dialogue because the music already does the dirty work. It's intense, heavy, bringing a pure horror vibe that makes you uncomfortable. It's not an adventure score, it's a composition that sets the pace for a body horror nightmare.
That dark atmosphere, combined with the high-contrast cinematography, that yellowish lighting and deep shadows, shows that this movie has the potential to be pure genre cinema. Now, we need to address the elephant in the room: Batman. I know the entire internet is hunting for the Bat's silhouette in every frame. As a fan, I really want Batman to make at least a cameo. Seeing the Dark Knight emerging on those Gotham docks would be an epic moment for anyone who grew up reading the comics. But being honest with you guys, I'm keeping my expectations way down. I prefer to stay grounded so I don't get frustrated for nothing if he doesn't show up. What I really hope is that with or without Batman, the movie is incredible and can stand on the strength of its own narrative. If the Bat shows up, it'll be an amazing bonus, but Matt Hagen's journey needs to be the heart of this story. On the other hand, we have to be realistic about the commercial challenge of this project. In my opinion, Clayface is a movie that might struggle a bit to attract the general audience. Let's be honest, even though he's a well-known Batman villain to the fans, he's not an extremely mainstream character for the average moviegoer, like a Joker or Harley Quinn. If you pull Batman out of the main marketing, selling a $60 million movie based on a mud monster becomes a tough sell. It runs the risk of being seen as just another standalone horror flick, losing the weight of being a DC event. It's a bold bet by the studio, but one that relies entirely on word of mouth about the production's quality to truly take off at the box office. Even with this challenge, the movie seems to be the perfect puzzle piece for the monster side of the new DCU. While David Corenswet's Superman represents divinity and bright hope, Clayface shows us the urban decay and the collapse of the soul in Gotham. The tragic villain is without a doubt the best kind of antagonist. Seeing the suffering of a man who subjects himself to shady medical experiments to try and regain his looks, only to end up dissolving in a bathtub, is a powerful metaphor. It's the externalization of a mind that was already rotten by fame before the flesh even started to melt. It's going to be interesting to see the entire character arc leading up to the end, where we see Matt Hagen become a true villain, Clayface.
And it's because of this grounded analysis, without any empty hype, that I invite you to subscribe right here to Comic Chronicles. If you enjoy taking a deep dive into what goes on behind the scenes and within the narrative of these movies, this is the place for you. Hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you don't miss anything from this new DCU that's being born. We haven't even seen everything this horror movie has to offer yet. However, it brings moments that genuinely make you very uncomfortable. For instance, this face Matt Hagen is making right here, where he's completely messed up. You can't see anything,
You just see his eye here, right? Practically staring at the audience. Damn, this scene actually makes you feel sick, right? Seriously. And it's basically the camera diving deep into Hagen's thoughts, replaying everything that happened in his life up to that point. At a certain point in the trailer, we see him living his best life, right? Happy face here. I believe at this point we are looking at the post-procedure he's going to go through. And then we move to this moment, which I thought was super tense. The guy is being held down, looks like on a bed, after getting caught by the mob or whatever was happening at that moment. But I thought he was just going to get beaten up, take a bunch of punches to the face and get deformed. But no, these guys go hard. They hold him down and mutilate his face in a way that's just insanely tense. Obviously, a crime like this is unjustifiable, but it leaves us wondering what exactly he did to the mob to deserve going through this.
Right after, we have a scene showing the aftermath, where he's wearing this mask to try and hide some of the mutilation they did to his face. Super tense. And man, actor Tom Rhys is killing it. Just from the trailer, we can feel all the agony he's going through. In a quick shot, we see him undergoing the procedure that was supposedly going to fix his face. What we know about the movie's synopsis is that he gets involved with a doctor who might have a boyfriend who's a cop in Gotham City. She then uses him as a guinea pig for a new experiment she's researching. Obviously, this experiment isn't going to go very well, and right after, we see Matt Hagen melting away in this moment. Since he's wearing that black suit in this scene, it's possibly the moment when he was out there soaking up the applause and praise from the audience. He realizes his face is melting and starts running. I remember there's a behind-the-scenes clip that shows a bit of this. Some people on the internet mentioned that this scene is a reference to Joker. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know, my friends, how the development of the DCU's Gotham City will play out through the Clayface movie. But this location right here is Amusement Mile. It's a famous spot known for Gotham City's amusement parks, and it pops up in a lot of Gotham productions. It appeared in the Joker movie, and it showed up in the Arkham series too. Anywhere you get a portrayal of Gotham City, you'll get a reference to Amusement Mile, featuring clowns and that sort of thing, because it's a fitting location for a circus. So it's kind of a standard reference within the Gotham City universe. I think every Batman movie is going to have something along those lines. But I really liked how the cinematography looked here in that aspect. And the iconic Gotham landmarks in this movie won't be restricted just to Amusement Mile, because here we have the Gotham City docks and we have the Narrows. Look at the island. That brings in a slightly more peripheral area of Gotham City, which was actually created in the Dark Knight trilogy. The Narrows didn't exist in the comics. Christopher Nolan went ahead and created this island alongside David Goyer. In reality, the major impoverished neighborhood in Gotham City is Park Row, which later had at least a section of it dubbed Crime Alley.
Maybe Nolan and Goyer didn't catch on to that, and so they created the Narrows, but it ended up becoming a famous Gotham City neighborhood in the comics too. Next, Hagen starts exacting his revenge against the mob, and that messed up face of his gives you a little chill. Here, Hagen is on the run. This kind of reminded me of the Batman Year One comic, you know? When you have Bruce going down there, there's a scene that's similar with Batman arriving, and in that spot, there are a bunch of neon signs involving a lot of adult entertainment. And this scene is giving me that exact vibe. If you still don't know or aren't familiar with Batman's first year on the job, click the card right here, or the video I'll leave linked in the description below so you can get caught up on every detail.
Here we have someone suffering from something. Could it be Hagen? No, looks like it's the doctor here, the one who ran the experiment on Matt Hagen. Here we have the two of them together, in a relationship, and here's Hagen getting screwed over by his deformity. And we get the Gotham Police, the GCPD cruiser, just to emphasize that we really are in Gotham City. Here we have this slightly more quote-unquote classic moment involving Clayface. I think he's already taking on the mob here. Must be. But there's a moment where he ends up forming the famous spiked ball with his hand. When you type Clayface into Google Images or whatever, you usually get that picture of Clayface from the comics, right? Morphing his hand into that mace. We close out the teaser here with Matt Hagen, perhaps accepting what his new persona is. So he's in this bathtub, but it's not a tub filled with water, right? I think it's all mud in here. So he ends up accepting what he is from now on, this monster. And then we get the Clayface title card.
I liked the logo. They didn't put it in the Clayface colors so it wouldn't look weird, but I dug it. By the way, the official poster for the Clayface movie is sick. It really is a great poster. We've got Matt here suffering, already turning into the big monster, melting away. Man, what an awesome poster. But at the same time, you look at it and go, dude, that is so distressing.
This movie is really going to be one of those where we're left going, holy crap, if everything goes right, if the directing actually works, if the script is solid. But I really loved the representation shown on the poster, and maybe it fits exactly what the folks at DC Studios want to establish for DC Productions. While you have, say, Superman with a very inspiring poster that sets the tone for the movie and leans heavy into the superhero theme, Clayface isn't meant to be a superhero movie. It's not meant to be a comic book superhero movie. It's meant to be a true horror movie, focused on the character's own construction, diving deep into terror, trying to stick to a different genre aspect, and also trying not to make the exact same movie every time.
And there it is. We'll see if Clayface can actually pull that off. I know a lot of people, even down here in the comments, are going to say Batman is going to show up. Look, I believe he doesn't necessarily need to. Maybe Batman's silhouette will appear, but I think there might not be a need for Batman to actually show up. If we focus on Clayface's origin, on the character himself, I think it can deliver a hell of a movie, while also keeping that varied thematic approach that DC Studios wants to implement. The moment they throw Batman in there, they step into superhero movie territory. There's not much room to run from that. Now, when they remove the Batman element and focus on this body horror, they might actually achieve the goal the studio wants for its IPs. That's an important detail. So maybe we should root for Batman not to show up. If the movie ends up being good, it's not a film that needs to gross a massive box office either. It's meant to be a low-budget movie.
The Batman element might not need to be a part of this specific theme. It worked with Joker, specifically, even though you get a bit of Batman in there when you include Bruce Wayne, but not necessarily Batman himself. I believe it's natural to have mentions of Wayne Enterprises, Bruce Wayne, but an actual appearance by Batman might not be necessary. Furthermore, with this trailer, we can clearly spot the references to Batman the Animated Series in this movie. As a reminder, the Matt Hagen we see here is basically an adaptation of what we have in Batman the Animated Series, in the episode Feet of Clay. In the comics, we have the first Clayface, who is Basil Karlo, the actor who ends up going insane and killing his studio co-stars because they were doing a remake of one of his classic movies, and he wasn't invited, plain and simple. The second is Matt Hagen, who is the guy with the actual powers.
A lot of people get confused with so many versions of the villain. So I've curated a selection here on YouTube Shopping, or check the links in the description below, so you can't go wrong. If you want the classic horror of the comics, I've picked out the Basil Karlo trade paperback, which is the pure essence of the frustrated actor. But if you want to drink straight from the source that inspired this movie, I found the animated series box set, where Matt Hagen shines. Seriously, having this material in your hands completely changes how you'll watch the trailer and the movie. Take a look at these items I've selected. It's the ultimate guide for you to walk into the theater knowing everything. So the animated series merges Clayface 1 and 2 to build its own Clayface. You have a character who is a rising actor who has an accident and gets deformed. Daggett Industries comes in and talks to Matt Hagen. They say, look, we have a product that can help you so you don't have to look like this anymore. This product works, however, it's not permanent, and Matt Hagen needs to repeatedly reapply it to his face from time to time to return to normal. But then, Daggett Industries decides to blackmail Matt Hagen, asking him to commit corporate espionage and crimes against their enemies. In exchange, he gets more of the cosmetic product to keep his normal face. In the movie, we're going to get something a little different, where you have Matt Hagen in a relationship with the scientist, who is developing an experiment that could help him. But it seems like this experiment is going to go wrong. Or we might find out that actually, the doctor also had malicious intentions working against Matt. That could happen too. Well, we'll find out in the movie, but there you have those differences. Even though Mike Flanagan adapted a bit of the Feet of Clay episode into the script, he's still going to take a slightly more original path for this character, adopting a different scope. By the way, here's a tip. Go watch this episode of Batman the Animated Series, Feet of Clay. It's on HBO Max. When Clayface returns in the animation, he's in a relationship with a doctor who tries to help him maintain his form. Maybe Mike Flanagan followed the cue from those other episodes in the animated series to construct this scientist. So this original character for the movie might have her roots in the animated series. But at the end of the day, I still believe the movie is going to follow an aesthetic similar to the animated series, but forge its own path. So just as the animated series adapted and brought its own version of who Clayface is, you have a movie doing the exact same thing. It takes the animation and carves its own path involving Clayface. It's the adaptation of the adaptation. And for those who want to know which comic books to read to get to know Clayface a bit better, I'm going to leave links in the video description or in the pinned comment for comics featuring Clayface, so you can pick them up at a good price. So check the description or the pinned comment, or even click the ad for the comic that will pop up for you right here in the corner of the screen. Moving on, we're following a really similar path regarding who Clayface is today compared to what he was in the animated series. It's a highly recommended read, a cool story. And at the same time, you have Batman, One Bad Day, Clayface, which is a great story about the character finding himself as an actor, but also featuring Batman going to Hollywood to catch him. So those are two stories I definitely recommend you check out. But there's an endless number of stories involving Clayface and the various Clayfaces out there. We already have videos here on the channel talking about Basil Karlo, but very soon I'll be dropping a video talking about every single one that exists in the comics, because yes, there are more than two.
I used to be a guy who doubted this whole Clayface movie thing. Not necessarily the Clayface movie itself, but questioning why a Clayface movie would come out right now, at the very beginning of the DC universe, in the DC studio slate. But at the end of the day, it's what they had on the docket for 2026, and it might actually turn out to be a massive surprise for that year. The movie has to be really good, and it started off in a cool way, so everything surrounding the film's marketing has been pretty cool in my opinion. So let's go, right? I'm hopeful. I hope Matt Hagen brings something interesting to the table for us. Honestly, I still think it's a mistake for this movie to drop at this exact moment in the DCU, but it's what we have right now, friends.
The movie's trailer was a hit, and people are really digging it. Folks got pretty hyped to learn a bit more about the character too, and so some questions were thrown at James Gunn regarding this new project, which premieres in October 2026. First, let's address the timeline. James Gunn confirmed that the events of the Clayface movie take place before the Superman movie. It's the very first DCU movie in chronological order. Keep in mind that the chronological order starts with Creature Commandos, then moves to Superman, next we'll have Supergirl, and then the Lantern series should follow. And from there, we continue with Man of Tomorrow and so on. But Clayface happens before all of that. Another question that popped up was about the movie's tone. Is it going to be a straight-up horror movie or a superhero movie with a dash of horror? And James Gunn touched on that, stating that it is a horror movie. He said, "From the beginning, we made it clear that the DCU would be interconnected, but that each project would be a full expression of its writers and directors, similar to how DC Comics operates. You have the Swamp Thing saga, Justice League International, The Killing Joke, All-Star Squadron. These works don't share a single tone, just like Superman, Lanterns, Peacemaker, and Clayface. The film or series will be produced in the genre that best suits the story. Clayface isn't a superhero/horror hybrid movie. It is a horror movie."
Finally, a question on many people's minds. Is the Clayface we'll see in this movie, Matt Hagen, the same one from Creature Commandos? James Gunn didn't answer directly, but someone commented the following. "I imagine it's highly likely that this is the same Clayface from Creature Commandos, and James Gunn liked the post. Does a like mean anything? Not necessarily. It doesn't serve as official confirmation for anything. But either way, since we're talking about a significant piece of info, and at the same time Gunn liked it, it could very well mean that the Clayface movie will indeed give us the origin story of the character who shows up in Creature Commandos. So at the end of the day, Clayface is a prequel that sits slightly outside the current ongoing timeline surrounding DC, starting from Creature Commandos. I think that makes sense, right? I'm sure you got it. This sparked some doubts among people about whether Batman eventually already exists at the time we see Clayface being created for this universe. We'll find out during the movie.
Are we sure Batman is going to appear? No. There might be a mention of Batman. There's a chance. A mention of Bruce Wayne has a chance, but I honestly don't think Batman will show up. My friends, please don't build up that hope. Otherwise, you're going to set yourselves up for disappointment. You'll end up saying the movie is bad just because Batman didn't show up. All that stuff. Cut that out, right? Just relax. And if there are any doubts about whether this will be a good horror movie, maybe this will put your mind at ease. DC Studios brought in a director who specializes in horror, James Watkins, who worked on productions like Eden Lake, 2008, The Woman in Black, 2012, and the remake of Speak No Evil, 2024. He also directed the highly acclaimed Shut Up and Dance episode of the Black Mirror series. Mike Flanagan is a horror movie specialist as well, and he's the one who wrote the scripts. So the whole idea is that the film will truly feel like one of those horror flicks you watch from, say, Blumhouse and the like.
Another controversy I saw people discussing involves the Clayface from Creature Commandos compared to this movie. Because in Creature Commandos, Clayface plays video games, and that kind of clashes with the vibe of the trailer. I tend to disagree a bit with that view, my friends. To figure out how Clayface gets to that version in Creature Commandos, you have to account for a whole passage of time there, and Matt Hagen getting involved with various other issues to reach that status in the current DCU. But that detail about him playing a video game isn't a problem, guys. Mostly because a lot of people play video games. It's an escapism that works for everyone.
You have the little kid, the teenager, the adult playing. All kinds of adults play video games nowadays. Anyway, I don't see an issue with Clayface playing video games. That's totally fine. Matt Hagen can play some Mortal Kombat, no sweat, and everything will be all right. It doesn't break character. But that's a topic for another video. At the end of the day, Clayface feels like a low-budget experiment with massive ambitions. A mix of psychological drama and visceral horror that has everything it needs to be the big surprise of 2026. But what about you? Are your expectations high to see Batman? Or are you trying to protect yourself from frustration like me? Do you think the general audience will buy into the idea of a villain movie without the main hero there to beat him up? Leave your thoughts down below in the comments, because I really want to know what you guys think about this new direction for DC. And for those who want to bring a bit of that Gotham atmosphere to their bookshelf, or read the One Bad Day comic I mentioned, the items are popping up right here in the corner of the screen. I handpicked these products because they perfectly complement everything we discussed today. By grabbing them through these links, you secure a top-notch read and also help the channel continue doing these deep dive analyses. Pick yours, and let's keep the chat going in the comments. Don't forget to drop a like, subscribe to Comic Chronicles for more deep analyses like this one, and share the video with anyone who's still on the fence about this movie. Thanks guys, and I'll catch you in the next analysis.